Yeah. So at this webinar, we will basically be trying to explain to you as much as possible the processes, that are involved when it comes to applying for Commonwealth scholarships. We'll be giving you tips and strategies on how you can increase your chances of acing this application. So this webinar is for both PhD and master's applicants. So if you know you're here for master's, but you know someone who would like to apply for the Commonwealth PhD scholarship, you can share the link with them so that they can also partake in this webinar. Right, so I'm not doing this alone. With me are fellow scholars. I'll start with introducing Ikram Bello Sadiq. She is, permit me to, right. So Ikram was awarded the Commonwealth PhD scholarship 2024/2025. She was, studying for a PhD in sustainable built environment at the University of Sheffield. I also have with me Ijeoma Okereke Adagba, also a Commonwealth scholar, but for master's. So she's currently studying at the University of Sussex for an MA in Media Practice for Development and Social Change. I am Remy Olishoka. I'm currently studying at the University of Sussex for an MSc in Energy and Climate Policy. It's lovely to have you here. And because we have wasted some minutes, we'll go straight into it. So we're going to be starting with the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship. Ijeoma and I will be splitting the questions in the application forms. She will take a part, I will take the second part, and Ikram will talk about the PhD aspect of the applications. Right, so Ijeoma, if you're ready, you have the floor.
Okay.
Ijeoma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me yet, Remy?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So just like Remy said, it's nice to be here, and we sincerely apologize for starting a bit late. This is the Commonwealth Scholarship webinar. We just want to talk about strategies and steps. And I just put this slide to show that the Commonwealth selection is done based on three criteria. The first is your academic merit. The second is the quality of your research proposal, especially for PhD students, even though we have elements of that in the master's application. And then the third one is the potential impact on the development of the candidate home country. Basically, what they're saying here is that when you come back after your study, what impact are you bringing back home? The idea of you coming out of your comfort zone, going to another city and a country to study is for you to learn new things. And when you've learned those things, it's for you to come back and implement what you've learned. So it's very, very important that you outline that in your essays or in the application form. So for the CSC themes, we have different themes that the Commonwealth Scholarship focuses on, and it varies. I think there are about like 5 of them currently. We have one that has to do with access and inclusion, and that is for those who are pursuing courses. So let me just list the 6 of them. We have science and technology for development, strengthening health systems and capacities, promoting global prosperity, strengthening global peace, security, and governance. We have strengthening resilience and response to crisis, access, inclusion, and opportunity. And these themes are what will also guide the rest of your application. So the CSC themes are those themes, those area of focus that the Commonwealth application graders, or the examiners, let me use that word, are looking out for. So if what you're doing is about agri, for example, it's about health, it's about AI or technology, you already know which category you're going to select. So these CSE themes, I think it comes out like a drop-down menu. So you just pick which one actually is is in line with whatever it is that you are doing. Then the next part, I don't think I have to speak too much on that, because we're still going to talk about the essay, which is also like part of your CSE themes and the SDGs. The SDG and the CSE theme is just for you to pick which one is your work is in line with. For the SDG, we already know the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Again, it's still asking the same question. From the CSE themes, it's going down to SDGs. Where would you categorize the kind of work that you are doing? If you're a journalist, for example, of course, you will know that the work that you're doing as a journalist, you have to have your own interest, your own beat, your own something that drives you. Is it something about gender? Is it about education? Are you reporting issues about government accountability? Is it health related? So when is that time for you to select the SDGs 1, 2, 3? You need to be very particular about how each of the goals you are selecting relates. For example, if you're into gender, you know that you're going to select the SDG that is in line with gender inequality, right? If you're selecting, which is SDG goal 5, if you look at the gender part, which other aspect of gender are you focusing on? Is it on women empowerment? Is it on quality education for women or youth or the vulnerable in the society? You now look at the SDG goals again. If it's education, then you pick quality education, which is SDG 5. So they have to relate. Same thing for health. If you're speaking good health and well-being, it means that the next SDG goal you're going to pick probably will be around clean water and sanitation, for example, because it's also still part of those facilities that help, that they all work together for you to also be healthy. You need clean water so that you don't fall down with diseases and all of that. Do you understand? So you need to also make sure that your SDG goals are they're in line, they synchronize with each other, and then they all also fall under the theme that the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission are also looking out for. Then career plans. Here is talking about your short-term plan. And it's like 5 years. When you come back within 5 years, what do you hope to do? It's always so easy to say that when you come back and it looks like 5 years is a very long time, but it isn't really a very long time. The idea behind this question is for you to be able to demonstrate how you want to practice the knowledge you brought. And 5 years is enough time for you to fully practicalize what you've learned. If what you learned was about developing or advocating for better health facilities in Nigeria, then how do you intend to make sure that the health facilities in Nigeria are developed when you come back? Maybe you can say that you're going to be working with an organization that you're probably working with them before, you come back and you will now continue that work, but then you're going to be applying the tools, the skills, and the knowledge you've gained into the work that you're going to be, that you'll be going back to. If you are not even working with an organization, you can mention something like,
this meeting is being recorded.
You can mention something like you also, I'm sorry, was it not recording before, Remy?
Yeah, it was. I believe it was.
Yeah, okay. So you can mention something like you um um attaching yourself with an organization, because if you look at 5 years, if you look at five years plan, Remy, can you mute your mic? That thing, please.
There's something wrong. Because
Give me a minute, please.
no,
Is it still echoing?
no, not anymore.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen. So I'll just be speaking. So 5 years basically is the time they're expecting you to implement everything that you've learned in school, whether theoretically or practically. You come back and you work with an organization, or you involve yourself in advocacy campaigns, volunteer with organizations. Those opportunities that will give you the ability to demonstrate that you gained one or two things from learning in the UK. And even if you don't want to work with an organization, you can also start up something by yourself because you've already acquired those skills while you were in the UK. You understand? So within that 5 years, 5 years is enough time for you to demonstrate those skills and show that you have gained many knowledge from studying in the UK. But for 10 years plan now, which is the long-term career plans, it seems more elaborate than the 5 years plan. So whenever I think about it, I always think that 5 years plan is something that you're going to get your hands-on experience. You just came back, you need to put that into something to bring about change and development within your society, because you've learned a lot of skills and you need to work with them. But for long-term plan, after that 5 years, which is a lot of time to do a lot of things, how do you think about the sustainability of that initiative or that intervention that you came back with? You get, think about it in that way. What do you intend to do after 5 years of implementing that solid idea that you came back with, or that initiative that you came back with? You could talk about how you could talk about how you want to partner with other organizations that are doing the same thing. You could talk about how you work with the government also, because of the learnings that you've gained from the 5 years, how you want to use those learnings and influence government policies and plans. You could talk about even going for your studies, because you've also, for PhD, for those who are interested in furthering their education, you could talk about how the learnings and experiences from implementing the projects or whatever it is that you did within the 5 years plan, how it will influence you furthering your studies, because there are more areas that need to be looked into from the activities you had implemented within that 5 years. So long-term career goals is more elaborate, is more extensive. And yes, there are word limitations. So you need to put all those ideas into the word limit that you've been given. Then, oh, I'm not even sharing my screen, so sorry. Let me see. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, but you're not sharing.
Okay.
Also, Ijoma, if you don't mind, if you're able to admit people into the webinar,
Oh, I thought you can do that.
you will need to pass the posting to me, I believe. But go ahead.
Okay, so are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
So the study outline also basically speaks to the interest that you have. The interest that you have. I'm trying to see where I can admit them. I can't see anybody in the waiting room. it speaks to the, it speaks to your interest. Why are you going to study in the UK? Why? What's that personal drive? What is that passion that is taking you outside your comfort zone, outside your region? What are those issues or challenges you've seen within your society or your space that is motivating you to want to go outside to go and learn? And how will that how will studying in the UK be that change, that factor that will influence or that will help you to achieve that goal you get? So if in the space that you are, maybe in the space that you are, like me, I could talk about probably press freedom and how the government of Nigeria is limiting the activities of journalists and pressmen in doing their work diligently. But then when you look at the UK, for example, it's not the same. Press freedom is journalists are allowed to practice freely. You could also talk about the educational system in the country. For example, you see how we probably have dilapidated facilities in our primary education. You could talk about healthcare, the healthcare system. You know how bad our PhDs are and how fundamental it is that the first point of access for citizens, especially those in rural communities, is the PhD, but it is not functioning. Why is it not functioning? So you probably want to do a research, or your study will help you understand some of those initiatives, some of those activities that you have seen, you are seeing being practiced in other developed countries working. You want to go and learn those skills and see how you can use that to better your own society when you come back. So that's your study outline. So just something like that. It's basically talking about your interest, your passion. Why is going out to study abroad, I mean in the UK, very, very important for you? So basically, I think the word limit there is like 150 or so. So it's just for you to put everything into that tiny space and and be able to convince whoever is reading it that you know what you're doing. And then we have the study plan, study outline. The study outline basically talks about why you have chosen your preferred course of study. When I was looking for the course that I was going to study, because my work has always been around media and development. Everything I did or I'm currently doing is about media and development. So I wanted a course that will be not just theoretical, because I've done many work around advocacy. I wanted something that is more in-depth, that is research-oriented, but also practical, so that I want to see the difference in, actually practicing and doing the real and studying the course. So I did a lot of research on how different institutions offer the course. I looked at the modules, I looked at the elements of those modules and how it aligns with what I want. I know that I remember looking at I think London School of Economics too, and I looked at their outline for media communication and development. I looked at it. I checked University of East Anglia. So basically, you just Google, and I think CSE has their own list of schools on their website. So you don't just pick any school randomly in the UK and apply for their admission. It has to be schools that are still under the CSE website, is on your application that day. So look at those schools, check out their programs, check out how they offer their programs. Is it in line with what you want? That will also guide you on knowing which should be your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice. And in that, your detailed plan of study, you're talking about if you picked a particular course in a particular university as your first choice, why is it your first choice? If you pick the one for the second choice, why is it your second choice? But most importantly, what I even want to stress here is that each of the courses that you are picking in these three institutions, they should be the same course. They should offer the same kind of module or something. The only thing that will make it different is just the title. For example, in University of Sussex, my course is called Media Practice for Development and Social Change. In LSC is MSc, Media Communication and Development. And in University of East Anglia is media and international development. You can see the keyword there, media development, media and development. So it's the same thing when you're picking when you're trying to do your detailed plan of study, make sure that the courses in each of these institutions are actually the same thing. The only thing that may be different is maybe how they're offering the course, the title of the course, but you know that basically it's still about the same study interest that you have. And then you need to also be able to convince them why you're picking those courses. And you can get most of the information on why you're picking those courses in the schools on the school website. So please do your research very well so that, and don't copy and paste what you see on the website on your application form. Read it and understand what they want to offer, what when you grasp the full understanding of what the course is about, it makes it easy for you to now explain it in your detailed plan of study. Don't do copy and paste. Please, copy and paste is like one of the, if not the top no-do rules in the UK. I know somebody was telling me yesterday how he failed, and he was supposed to graduate in his master's program, but he didn't graduate because they discovered that he plagiarized a lot of copies, and he failed that program, which is terrible, and he's an international student. So I'm sure that whatever it is that I may have also missed while I was talking, Remy and Ikram can answer that. But then again, there's also room for Q&A session. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very, very much, Ijeoma. Thank you. That was quite detailed. All right, so I will take the second part of the Commonwealth Masters application questions. Ijeoma, I believe some are still in the waiting room. Could you help me into that? Thank you.
Yep, I'm doing that now. You can go ahead.
Okay, Ijeoma, kindly enable me to share my screen so I can take my part.
Yep, you can do that.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, so yeah, so I'll be taking the remaining 7 parts of the application questions. Personal statements, your voluntary and leadership experience, the objectives during the award, your development impact essays, your publications, academic awards and recognitions, employment history, and your reference. So let's take the personal statement. So this personal statement question is quite bulky, as you can see on the screen. But the trick to it is sitting down with each question, reading through it to understand the several facets of the question that you need to answer. Now, if you look at the screen, you see that I have some parts in red. So those are the areas that they want you to give answers to. You know, sometimes when you ask me questions, you just read through the entire question and then you begin to write, forgetting that it's possible that you've only answered one part out of 3 parts of the question. Now, for your personal statement, it's one of the all the essays are important, really, but one of the, very important essays you will need to write. The Commonwealth Scholarship Commission is encouraging people who are disadvantaged, whether financially, whether in their health, maybe there are persons living with disability, or you are represented in any way in your field of study or your work. For instance, let's say at your workplace, you're only part of 2% of women and the rest of them are men. That's an underrepresentation. So Commonwealth Scholarship Commission is hoping that people like that can tell their story. Now, that's one part of it. Then you're now going to tell them how that challenge has inspired you to want to make impact in your home country. The third leg of the question is your significant contributions. So for someone who reads this entire thing, you might just think, oh, they want to hear my story, let me go on and on. But it's more than that. They have so much to do the exact things that they want, but what you need to do is to sit with the question to understand these three facets. Now you have 500 words. That's about 1 page. So how do you go about writing a personal statement? First thing is, basics of essay, introduction, body, and conclusion. And that's important because these people are going to be reading hundreds of thousands of essays. So if you don't structure it well in a way that they are able to easily read and understand your points, you stand a high chance of getting them lost. And they'll get uninterested in reading your essay. So introduction, body, and conclusion. What I like to do is, for my introduction and my conclusion, I like to be very punchy. Straight to the point and punchy. Why? This is because for your introduction, that's the first thing they're reading about you. They don't know you from anywhere. That's the first thing they're reading about you. So you want to make it as punchy as possible. And for your conclusion, that's the last thing they're reading about you. So if you want them to remember you after reading your essay, make sure that your conclusion is also punchy and fantastic. All right. So because you have 500 words, you don't want to start introducing your introduction. For some of us, the way we're taught, maybe in our primary schools or secondary schools, okay, I'm about to write my introduction. This is my introduction. You're wasting your wordings, one, and also you're sort of boring the person who has hundreds of thousands of essays to read. So you go straight to the point. Something that is catchy, something that will strike them hard, that they want to read the body of your essay. Maybe I should give an example. So I'm studying energy and climate policy, right? But your personal statement doesn't need to start with what you're studying. Just start them with your uniqueness, something that makes you stand out. Start with that. I think I should go on because of time. Then your body, very, very important. This is where you need to sit down and rest. For your body, I can hear someone. Can you please mute? Thank you. All right, so for your body, you're going to break it into two parts: your motivation and your contribution. Your motivation, what is your driving force? What is your story? Now, against popular belief, you don't have to come from a poor background to be able to tell a story that inspires Commonwealth. No. It could be something that you faced, a challenge that you faced. I give an example of underrepresentation, in your place of work, or something that happened to you whilst you're studying that you were able to, because of a uniqueness, surmount it. Just something that would inspire them to say, oh, wow, in spite of this, this person rose above board and was able to make it out excellently. All right, so you're going to be telling them your motivation. This is where you master the art of storytelling. There are several fantastic persons that would apply for this scholarship. Academically, they are okay. Intellectually, they are sound. What stands you out? What will make them pick you from the entire head is how you couch your story. So you might have great achievements, you might have great dreams and talents, but if you cannot tell your story to them, so it's very important here that you tell your story in a way that they are captivated. So tell them your motivation, then you now go to your contributions. For your contributions, this is not the time for you to be humble. Yeah, I know, yes, God, raises the humble and debases the proud and all of those things. This is not the time for you to be modest. Your family members know you, your friends know you, they know you're fantastic and all that. But Commonwealth does not know you. And the only way they can know you is if you tell them what you have done and what you intend to do. So once you give them your motivation, then you go straight into the things that you have done in relation to your field of study. Oh, I want to study energy and climate policy. The things that you have done in this field. Oh, I did this and did that. I influenced this policy in Lagos State. Oh, I wrote to this person to tell them this is what they can do to better their waste recycling in their office. Things that you've done that you can relate to the course that you want to study. You begin to tell them. And there's really nothing too small to report. Honestly, there's nothing too small to report. You'll be surprised how the little things that you have done, will help you get the scholarship. Don't think you have to have done something grand. Just begin to highlight your contributions. And then you conclude, like I said, with something punchy. And always tie it to the scholarship. So you've told them the fantastic story about you, how you came from this to this, and this is what you have done to contribute, to your country. And you're concluded by saying, okay, with this that I have, just maybe summarize it. With this that I have done, having gone through this in life, I believe that I'm an ideal candidate for the Commonwealth Scholarship. And if chosen, I will be able to do more. Just something that once they read it, they can remember all that they have read in the body and then remember you after. Okay, so another essay is your voluntary or leadership and leadership experience essay. They're basically asking you to, in one page, talk about your voluntary activities and your leadership experience. Like I said earlier, work with this structure of introduction, body, and conclusion. So I'm not going to overflow the introduction and conclusion part because I already mentioned it. So let's go into the body. For this one, you're not just telling a random story. You're focusing on what they've asked you, voluntary experiences and leadership experiences. Excuse me. Now, this part is interesting to me because I get stuff like, oh, Remy, I don't think I've done anything. I mean, I went to school, yeah, but I didn't do anything. I was a go to school, go back to the house kind of student. So I don't have anything to really report on voluntary experiences. To that, I'd like to say this. Think about the small things. Some of you in church, maybe one day the pastor asks you, oh, who here would want to help us pack these chairs to the auditorium so that we can have the second service? And then you volunteer. And then you and maybe 4 or 5 persons decide to together coordinate yourself and pack those chairs to the auditorium. At the end of service, your pastor is probably commending you and saying, because of you, nobody reported having, had to stand outside. They all had chairs to sit on. You volunteered. That's an experience, a voluntary experience. You were not obligated to do it, but you did it still. You can see how examples that you don't even think Commonwealth is interested in are actually key to this application. So you don't have to have interned in a big NGO in Nigeria or in Africa for you to say, oh, you volunteered. You don't have to have done that. The little things that you do, count. They go a long way. So after this webinar, what I would expect that you will do is to just do a sketch. Think about those mini things that you volunteer to do. Maybe not in a big sphere, but that will count towards giving you some points. All right, so let's look at leadership experiences. This one, you don't have to be the president of Nigeria to say you're a leader. You can be a leader in any and almost every sphere. So you're at work, you're a team lead for your department, you are a leader. All you need to do is show them how you're able to influence people, inspire people towards a common cause, and you're good to go. Right? For some of you, maybe at work, you've had presentations and you've spearheaded that, right? You've led your team. That's leadership. Write that as a story. Give a few, 1, 2, 3 examples of how you've led a team, how you head your department and what have you. So it doesn't really have to be something that is grand. Another way that you can prove leadership, for instance, is let's say that every Saturday, for those of us in Nigeria, we are conversant with this environmental sanitation thing. Some of you are instrumental to it. Some of you on Saturdays, you are the ones responsible for going to call your neighbors to do environmental sanitation. Believe you me, that's leadership. You don't have to have a position or something grand. Oh, I'm SSA to the governor. You don't need to have to be all of that. If you are that, fantastic. But if you don't have grand titles, give examples of leadership. Or, I was instrumental, or I am always instrumental to coordinating people for environmental sanitation every Saturday in my community. That means you're inspiring people towards a common goal, towards a common cause. So that's leadership. So I hope that you can begin to see that you don't necessarily have to have titles or know big people. before you can ace this scholarship application. Right. Another essay, this is 250 words, so just half of a page. It's quite simple. It's what are your objectives for this award? What you're looking at is how will you studying this course, for instance, in health, how will it assist you in your career? What are the skills you want to gain? This one is very simple. Just paragraph your points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you want to have access to a wider range of people through networking that would help you, in other opportunities in the energy and environmental sector, for instance. Or you don't know how to do research, but you found out that in the University of Sussex, this particular course has a statistics module. So you are really interested in it because when you get back, it means that you would have been able to build yourself in the skills of stats. So you can begin to see how all they ask you here is, if you do not go to this school for this course, what are the skills you won't be able to get? So that's conversely. So basically just listening to them, the things that you'll be able to get if they allow you to go for this course through the scholarship. So number 4, your academic prizes and your publications. So this one, when you begin to apply on Commonwealth's portal, you see that this is not a compulsory question. If you don't have, you can scroll through. But I would advise you to try and answer this as much as you can. I put here, you don't need to have an Emmy award, honestly, or to have something grand. You don't need to have grants to say you have an award. No. Some of you, whilst you were in school, you won a competition, maybe you participated in quizzes or debates, you got prizes for it. These little things, seemingly little things, are what Commonwealth would give you points for. So list out your awards. Some of you will need to have to go back to your portfolio, or your physical portfolio, go and bring out those prizes and awards that you got. List them. Let Commonwealth know that beyond academics, you are an outstanding overall kind of student, right? Yeah, like I said here, it doesn't have to be significant. Just list them as many as you can. For your publications too, like I said, it's not compulsory. And when people hear publication, I know what comes to mind is, oh, you have to have published in Wall Street Journal or something very big or grand. No, that's not the case. And I'll give you an example. In 2020, there was this rape case that was popular then. And I remember reading it, that lady that was raped and died, I forget her name now. Uwa, yes. And God rest her soul. And I remember reading it. I was so livid that overnight I did some research, and on my personal blog post page, it's on WordPress. It wasn't even a website. I just posted certain things around rape and stories about it and how the state can work at solutions. You don't even necessarily have to publish something as serious as that, right? So anything that you've written, that you know that if someone reads it, they will be able to say, oh, this is intellectually stimulating, or wow, I love the way this person thinks. Those are the kinds of publications that Commonwealth, would also take. It doesn't have to be something grand. But of course, if you have something fantastic, if you have published your work in an academic journal, of course, certainly, list it and give links so that they can go ahead to read it as well. Employment history. Yeah, this is a compulsory question. They'll ask you your current place of employment and if you have other places. What you want to do here is, if you're thinking, oh, for instance, I work in the Ministry of Justice, but I want to go for a course in energy and climate. Can I still put it there? It's not relevant to my, program of choice. The trick to this is to always link it. There's always a way out. For instance, while I was applying, I used to work at the Ministry of Justice, but I was applying for an energy and climate policy course. So what I did was, in the box for responsibilities, after putting that, oh yes, I work in the Ministry of Justice currently, what I did was, of course, I review contracts, I negotiate, transactions and all that, but I did not leave it at that. I went on to state that I also looked at electrification contracts, power purchase agreements. So I went down to focusing on contracts that are in line with the course I want to study. Can you see how I was able to find a link? So this is what you need to do. Find a link between what you're doing currently and the course that you want to study. And if for whatever reason you cannot find a link, just put it there. This is where you work. I'm sure that in your other essays, you'll be able to explain to them and prove to them why you've chosen the course that you have now chosen. For your references, you're going to need 3 references: professional, academic, and personal. Right? What you want to do after this webinar today, get in touch with your referees immediately, because I'm aware that it closes October 15th. So your referees have more or less 2 weeks to give you a reference letter. So what you want to do is to get in touch with them immediately so that they have a few days, before the application deadline. And it's good because you can upload it yourself, right? So you get it from them and upload it when you're applying. What I want to emphasize on is make sure that the person you're asking to write you a reference letter is somebody that is awed by your intellect, somebody that is flat out mesmerized by who you are, your ability, your talent, someone that knows deep down in him or herself that you have the ability to make change in Nigeria or globally. Someone that will now understand that and be willing to sit down to write you an amazing, reference letter. I'll tell you why that is important when we're talking about the interview, when we're talking about the interview process, right? So make sure it's something that somebody reads and, if you read it yourself, you'll be impressed and you will want to give yourself a scholarship, basically. Yes, and those are the kinds of people you want to meet for reference letters. So at least you must upload 2 of your reference letters. So even if you can't get the 3 of them to give you before the deadline, upload 2, then you'll be able to upload the 3rd one, maybe after you get your scholarship. So lastly, and I put it last because this is somewhat bulky. Lastly, let's talk about the development impact essays. It's supposed to be 1 essay, but it's 1 essay broken into 4 parts. So we like to say it's 4 essays because there are different questions. So the first question is this: explain how your proposed course relates to a developmental issue, number 1. Number 2, explain how that course or that issue connects to the Commonwealth development theme. This is how to answer the essay question. First thing you want to do is to pick a developmental issue. Now, because in my community, I had seen how energy access and environmental degradation was the order of the day. When I say order of the day, or they were at the forefront of issues that tug at my own heart. So I picked that. So that's number 1. So after I picked that, what I went to do, I went to the Commonwealth website, looked at their 6 themes, which I believe Ijoma explained to us, looked at the themes and said to myself, okay, so energy affordability and climate change, where does this fall under? Then I found that it fell under strengthening climate resilience and response to crisis, I believe, and I picked it. So once you pick an issue, you go to the website to find out what theme it falls under, at least in the view of Commonwealth. And then you link it. It's just 200 words, so it's half of a page. So you tell them about the issue and what has driven you to be passionate about it. And I should say here that it mustn't necessarily be an issue that affects you personally or locally. It might not happen in your local government. It might be an issue that is central to maybe Nigeria as a whole or West Africa, right? So it mustn't necessarily be that you're personally encountering or going through that issue. But if it's a developmental issue that you're passionate about, pick it and link it to a CSA thing, and you're good to go. I want to say something important here, and I hope that you're really taking notes. Like I said earlier, in a field of people that are outstanding, what do you do to stand yourself out? The more. All of you are outstanding. Believe you me, hundreds of thousands of essays from people who are flat out amazing. How do you stand out? So if you do these 2 things that I've said now, you would have answered the essay question. But what do you do to stand yourself out so that you are picked amidst other fantastic persons? What I did was I did further research. So the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, who funds the Commonwealth Scholarship, have about 6 to 7 programs in Nigeria on energy and on climate change. So what I did, I went to Google, I went to research. I found out how much they had budgeted for these projects. I found out how much they had spent. I found out how much they had left. I found out what I needed to do to be able to contribute to it when I get back. You can see that this question did not ask me to do that, but I went further to do it because I was looking for ways to let Commonwealth know that if you pick me, you will not regret it. If you pick me, you'll be picking somebody who is a light bulb, somebody who is not hesitant or will not hesitate to go the extra mile. These are the things that you need to do. Look for ways to let Commonwealth know that you're different. Right, so the second question is, how do you intend to apply these skills when you return home? This is just 100 words. Just a few lines and you're done. 2 paragraphs, straight to the point. When I get home, I want to return to my company. I want to return to the Ministry of Energy. I want to do so and so. When I come back, there's this policy that they have. I want to improve it with the knowledge that I would have garnered while studying at the University of Sussex. Just 2 paragraphs telling them what you want to do with these skills that you have said you want to get in this course. Go straight to the point. It's just 100 words. So make sure that you're hitting the nail on the head. So this is the penultimate slide, I believe. What you expect will change in development terms after your studies. So what you want to do here is look at the outcomes you want to achieve. Or the change that I want to see in Nigeria in the field of energy and climate, for instance, when I come back, I want to see that people are more climate conscious, are more climate oriented. I want to see that people understand the concept of climate change such that when I talk to people, you don't hear stuff like, oh, climate change is a farce. There's nothing real about it. Number 2, I want to see, I want to see a change in the policies of Lagos State when it comes to climate change. I want to see that we have moved from this to this. If you're in health, link it to health as well. Right, and it's asking you also for time frame, what you want to do. After you now tell them this is the change that you hope to see when you get back, give them time frame. I hope that in 2 to 3 years, Nigeria would have moved from a country who is docile when it comes to climate change policies to a country who is active and pursuing so. Then you want to use your figures. Oh, I'm hoping that by so and so, 30% of women in this and this would have been allowed into this program. Just use figures to let them know that you understand what you're trying to say, you understand the change that you want to see, and you understand the outcomes, really. So this is 250 words. So it's just half a page, which tells you that you need to go straight to the point. There's no room for dilly-dallying. Go straight to the change that you want to see, and you are good to go. Lastly, the last one is, how will the impact of your work be measured? So, Remy, you have said that this is the change that you want to see. How would you know when this change has occurred? So when you see this question, when you're applying, this is what it is asking you. How would you know that a change has occurred? These changes that you want to see, they are so grand and beautiful. How would you know that it has occurred? So you want to begin to tell them your yardstick for evaluating change, your indicators. I think for me, a few things that I said, oh, I would know that change has occurred in climate change awareness through the support that the public will give to climate change initiatives. Oh, I will know that people are now interested in climate change and environmental preservation when I see, the percentage increase of people who recycle their waste properly. If people now recycle, but drop their bottles in this bin, drop their plastics here, and drop other, kinds of rubbish here, then I will know that they are more climate aware. So you want to give indicators of how will you know that change has occurred. Oh, for instance, if you're in health, and you want to look at child mortality, you can say, oh, I would know that change has occurred if the rate of infant mortality reduces in other local government. So these are examples that Commonwealth want to see. They want to see that not just are you for change, you know how you can recognize that change. All right, that's all for now. So Ikram would be taking aspects of the Commonwealth Scholarship application that relates to PhD scholars. So if you're a PhD potential applicant here, you might want to listen to her. She's going to have nice tips for you, when it comes to the PhD scholarship. Ikram, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ikram, I can hear you.
Okay, please, I'm having issues here. Just
Okay.
What's happening?
She's having, I believe, some technical issues. Please return us. Depends.
okay, I'm all sorted. So, good afternoon, everyone. As Remy has introduced all of us, my name is Ikram Sadiq, and I'll be pursuing a PhD in sustainable built environment at the University of Sheffield Hallam in Sheffield. So talking about the PhD application, the good thing is when you look at the application portal for PhD and masters, it's generally, very similar, very alike. I'll just point out that there are a few differences, or there is a bit of difference when it comes to how you approach answering the questions. So when you look at it from the beginning, I won't want to just repeat all Ijoma and Remy have spoken about, but I'll just highlight key places where one needs to take note so that you're going in to answer the questions correctly. Now, when you're applying for a PhD, one of the first things anywhere in the world you're going to be asked is, what is your proposal? What is your topic? What are you interested in researching about? As most of us know, a PhD is something you do for 3 years, 4 years. In North America, it can go as long as 5 years. So it's really more of like you're interested in a field and you have something you want to research, you want to keep exploring. You have to find original knowledge that someone has not figured out. And you're trying to actually, find out that thing that you will be, revealing to the world eventually at the end of these 3-4 years that you're going to be doing your research. So you're going to take your proposal, and when you're answering those questions, we started with the themes. You're going to start talking about what theme fits in with your research. So is it strengthening resilience? Is it health? Is it good well-being? When it comes to the SDGs, which SDG in particular, fits in with what you're trying to do? So just the same process where you select your SDGs, you select your theme, that's the same way, you approach the PhD application. Secondly, you have to answer the questions not in the context of, I'm going to be studying courses as, how it happens in the masters, but against how your proposal, what you intend to research. So when you're talking about the developmental essays, the first essay, what does it talk about? How does your research relate to your country? If you're a Nigerian, for example, you're talking about how that developmental essay tying in your proposal will have an effect on Nigeria's, development. The same thing with the, I think there are about 4 acids, if I remember correctly, and all of that. Now, with a proposal, as I said, when you're applying for admissions, or will I say with the PhD application, one of the evidences you have to have attached to your application, your submission, is supporting letters from your supervisor. Now, the Commonwealth expects you to have a minimum of 2 admissions, right? 2 admissions that, or will I say 2 supervisory teams that are willing to support your candidacy, are willing to, supervise you in your research. So one of the first steps you have to even take, if you have not yet gotten admissions, is to start getting those admissions, get supervisors that are willing to work with you on your research, because they will have to give you letters at the end of, your application when you're submitting. Now, these supervisors will have gone through your proposal. One of the key things that the Commonwealth is looking out for is that there's somebody out there, there's a team of experts who are your supervisors that have looked at your proposal and they are saying, yes, this is researchable work. Yes, this is something that we think you can not just research and find, findings or something new, but you can do it within a specific time frame, which is this, 3 years to 4 years that you're expected to have finished your PhD. So there's so many people that have, great ideas. You want to do a PhD and all of those things, but you probably can't finish within the 3-4 years. So they will help you to narrow down your research, to hone it, to have a peculiar thing that you're really going to be doing. And, that's key. And I think that's why the Commonwealth really emphasizes that you have to have a supervisor who has looked at that proposal even before you start writing this essays and, get into the stage of submitting. So the next thing, also your publications. Now, I noticed earlier in the comments, somebody was asking, we say on the portal, it says you should have a minimum of 10 publications, or you should have up to 10 publications. And if you're applying and you don't have those things, then what happens? Now, to answer that question, you could have other things, as someone rightly answered in the chat. You could have other, aspects of your application that really, gives you an edge over those people that don't have publications, right? The people that are just applying straight out of their masters, they don't have publications. But one thing you could quickly do is you could publish your MSc thesis, your BSc thesis. These are all things, works that you have done that will serve as, evidence for you in this aspect. That's if you don't want to not put anything there, right? It will give you an advantage. You also want to be able to show them that, publications show that you have a track record of, getting good findings, but at the same time, do not just leave it flat that I don't have anything, right? Take advantage of that MSc thesis that you've done, because ideally, before you apply for a PhD, you need to have an MSc. So, or you need to have a master's. So, whatever field you're coming from, you could leverage on that. It could be you've written on a blog. The people that are bloggers, they write on social media platforms. You will take advantage of those things and show that you have a writing ability. It's not just, that it has to be something academic that you have pushed out, to the world and all of those things. Your awards. Now, the Commonwealth will ask you in the application to show them your awards. What award have you ever been given? The people that have never really gotten any awards, but they're exceptional people in terms of academics, in terms of professional career and all of those things. So going back to what Remy said also earlier, look inwards. It could be something very little. You don't even have to have, like, I think, a big plaque or something that says, these are your awards. But I remember when I was going for my interview, which we're going to really go into when we talk about the nominating agencies, I carried everything, like literally even my primary school, commendation that says, oh, they give you at assembly. I remember my school, they will give you a small certificate, like I think A5 size, that says, oh, for punctuality or for neatness. I carried everything. So, and they were actually laughing at me at the panel, like, the Nigerian factor that, all these things. I said, yes, like, it's an award. I got it. It's a commendation, and these things earn you points. We'll talk about more of that when we get to the nominating agency. So please don't leave anything to chance. Go in looking at it as, take it very seriously. It's not something that, and don't also look at it that it's not attainable. Right? The people that apply once and get the Commonwealth Scholarship, the people that apply multiple times, but at the same time, everybody has their trajectory in life. So don't look at it as I'm just applying the first time and not take it seriously. It could be the year you get Commonwealth Scholarship. So I think I will probably, if people have more questions, because we have to stick to the schedule, the timing that we've assigned to this webinar. So if there are any questions that come up under the PhD, I'll be available to answer them. So in summary, the application for the PhD is very similar with the MSc, which has really been elaborated. But at the same time, just remember that you're not applying with, I'm going to be taking classes, these are the courses, just the way, for masters and all of those things. But your proposal, your research proposal is at the center of everything you're going to be answering. If you're answering the questions of your study plan, what you're going to be doing in 2 years, ask yourself, when I finish a PhD and I have this new degree, in your current job, are you doing, because people think, okay, people people that do PhDs are only people in academia. You don't have to be in academia for you to do a PhD. You could be somebody in policy, you could be working for the federal government, you could be, on your own. You just want a PhD because a PhD opens doors that, you don't even realize they could be open for you. You could be actually looking at it as a 10-year plan that I want to have this PhD, which would set me, would give me the expertise to go into consultancy in 10 years. So when you're answering your 2-year, 5-year, and 10-year plan, think about these goals and do not limit yourself. Do not limit yourself in the sense that try and downplay it. No, tell them you want to see yourself at the UN. You want to see yourself, at climate change bodies. You want to see yourself, at the United Nations, as I said, at World Bank. Talk about these things. Like, it's not something that's unattainable. So please look at your career path. What do you intend to do? You could also be thinking of, switching careers, right? You could be in academia, or you could not be in academia at the moment, but you think that a PhD, or you want your PhD to be that step that will get you into academia because you're interested in teaching. You're somebody that loves to share what you know and all of those things, seeing people excel, being their mentor and all of those things. So think about your why. Think about, all these things critically. Whenever you think about these things, just scribble them down somewhere, have these ideas so that when you start writing these essays, you're able to just articulate all these ideas that you want. And I will, on a final note, also mention that please have a storyline that ties everything together for you in terms of your personal statement, your leadership. Think of it as one whole. You're one person. Don't be writing the leadership approach as if you're Remy, and then when you come to the volunteering, the way you write it, you're talking like you're talking about somebody different. Try and have things that you put in that ties everything together, which gives you a solid, will I say, a solid persona, because they can't see you when they're reading your essays, but they can actually picture who this person is in totality. So I think I'll stop here. Thank you very much. I can see questions are already dropping and people are raising their hands. We'll get to answer your questions, I think, down the line. Remy, over to you.
Thank you, Ikram. That was fantastic. That was very detailed. Thank you. Straight to the point. Thank you so much. Right, so we go to the second phase of the webinar. We'll be talking about nominations. So after all has been done, you've submitted a fantastic application. What next? So for the Commonwealth Masters and PhD scholarships, you have to be nominated by an agency in Nigeria. So I believe that usually what we have is the Federal Scholarship Board and Farway. Just a minute, please. Yes, FAWE, that's the Forum for African One Educationalists. But now for this year, I see that they have added 3 other agencies. So, which is sort of like a good news because it means that you can widen your options when it comes to who gets to nominate you. For this year, we have the Federal Scholarship Board, the Forum for African One Educationalists. We have the High Achieving Low Income Network, that's HALI. We have the Commonwealth Equality Network, and we have the Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum. So what I like to think usually is that you can be strategic in who you choose to nominate you. You can say, okay, if you want FAWE to nominate you, what that means is that, FAWE is just for women, I believe. So only, Ijoma will talk about that very soon, but it's for women. But you can be strategic to say, you know what, rather than maybe do FSP where you have to, in quote, compete with men and women, let me do FAWE where I know it's just, women that I'm competing with. If you are someone with a special ability, right, you might want to go for the Commonwealth Disabled Network, just so that you can really streamline the number of people that apply and increase your chances, right, that way. So you can be strategic by looking through all of these networks to then deciding, what agency you want to nominate you. So I chose the Federal Scholarship Board. So I will, in a few minutes, just quickly talk about the process. So after choosing FSB on the form, the next thing that you need to do is closely monitor the website, the Federal Scholarship Board's website and the Ministry of Education's website. That's the Federal Ministry of Education. Closely monitor it every year around November. It could change, but every year, usually around November, they would post the dates for interviews according to regions. So it's for a whole week. You could have first day, those from the Northwest, is that something like Northwest? Northeast, you could have Southwest, you could have, so they split it by regions. So from the day that you apply, begin to monitor the Federal Scholarship Board's website and the Federal Ministry of Education's website. Right, so when you get the date, prepare to travel. You need to begin to prepare whether you're going to go by flight or by road. You're going to have to take a day or 2 off from work. You're going to have to prepare yourself financially. You're going to maybe want to lodge. For those of us maybe coming from Lagos or a far place, you want to lodge and all of that, right? Begin to prepare yourself mentally for that if you want to be nominated by FSB. Just know you have to travel to Abuja. If you want to be nominated by the federal government, you have to travel to Abuja, right? So once you get that sorted, next is you want to go along with everything. I like how Ikram mentioned, the other time, how she went along with her primary school letter of commendation. Go with everything, your original and your photocopy, your transcripts, original and photocopy, your CV, your certificates, your prizes. You know that in your application, you've already listed those prizes that you got. Even if you did not include them on the list when you're applying, take them along to Abuja. Take them along to Abuja. These are the things that would increase your points. For some of it that have plaque awards, some of us, we have, in school, maybe you won a competition, they give you this big plaque. What I did, I snapped and I made a photocopy. If you don't want to carry it along, you don't even have to, they won't ask you for that. But go along with a copy. All of these things give you points. Go along with your means of ID. Go along with your reference letters. I'm talking about reference letters. I said I was going to expatiate on it here. Once again, you need someone that can write well about you. So when one of the panelists saw one of my reference letters, he was shocked, and then he asked me, "Oh, for all of this for you?" Because it was full from top to brim, 2 full pages. And I kept looking at it. This person really had the time to write this for you, right? And then things like that will make them feel, oh, if someone of this caliber believes so much in you that he would sit and write so well about you, so passionately, then it means that you carry something, right? So this is me, just re-emphasizing the need for you to get people that believe in your vision and in what you carry. as referees. So go along with your reference letters. Pictorial evidence too. I remember when I worked at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, we went on community visits and on enumeration. I remember I would take selfies on some of the days and I stored them on my phone. What I did, I printed out those pictures. I printed them out. I didn't have to do that. I could have said, oh, I have these prices, I have this and this is enough. But what you want to do is to, out of a field of outstanding people, set yourself above board. Stand out more than you even should. So everything that you know can speak well of you. If you're like Ikram, your primary school letter of commendation, you were punctual in primary school and they gave you a certificate, take it along. Everything that speaks to how unique and great you are, whether academically or professionally, or even personally, take it along. Yeah, this is very important. The title page of your long essay, please go with it. Because I remember I had planned to go with it. I had gone to where it was, I took it, I brought it home, and I forgot it. So that day I had to leave, not leave the interview room now. I think I knew beforehand. But I had to, it sort of disoriented me. I had to go look for where to print. So make sure that you go with the title page of your long essay. For some of you, it's called projects, at the university. Just go with the front page. Then lastly, your offer letters. It's possible that as at then, you still don't have an offer from any of the 3 universities. All well and good. But if you want more points, you might want to go with your offer letters, whether it's conditional or unconditional. It's just to make them know that, oh, this is good. You already have offers at this stage. You're good to go. You know what you're doing. So if you have offer letters already, please go with them. And that's why it's important for you to quickly begin to apply to these universities. Right. So to round off, one thing I want you to know is there are points for each question. So they're going to be asking you questions at the interview, and there are points for each. You will see them marking things and writing things down as you're answering the questions. They're giving you points. So they're going to ask you questions surrounding your course of study. Why do you want to do this course? Explain to us. They could be tricky with their question, but basically what they want to know is why this course. Convince us why, yes, Remileko should go for this course at the University of Sussex or at any of these 3 universities. So you answer them briefly. Then at least one current affairs question. They're going to ask you something maybe political that is happening. And that's why you need to stay abreast of developments in Nigeria. It's possible that it's something that happened that morning or the day before that they will ask you about. But I remember my own question. I got it because, so there's this connection of mine on Instagram that I follow. She's the essay to the Speaker of the House of Reps. So she would usually post a lot about her boss. Oh, Right Honorable Tunde Abbas, my boss, he helped me do this, he enabled me do this policy. And just because I was looking at her posts, that was the question that I was asked. And I kid you not, all the questions that I read overnight, they did not ask me. That was what they asked me. Who is the current Speaker of the House of Reps? And I smiled. And the panelists were, why are you smiling? I smiled because I know the answer, but I was only able to know it because of my engagement on social media. So you want to also keep yourself abreast of developments, sort of know who the president is if you don't know, who the governor is, who is the minister for this and this, maybe related to your field. They might want to ask you that. All right, then he could ask you a tricky question. They could ask you something surrounding, okay, so let me tell you what they asked me. They asked me, oh, Remy, oh, nice, you've said nice things so far. But what happens if the governor of your state decides to make you a minister for energy today? I say, I think Remy is fantastic. Come and be the minister for energy. And then you've gotten the Commonwealth Scholarship, what will you do? That's a tricky question, right? So you might want to maybe do a little bit of rehearsal with your friends so that you're able to answer or navigate through these tricky questions. So when they ask me, I mean, I'm going to just skip through that because of time, but try and do some rehearsal before time so that you're able to navigate these questions. So basically, that brings you to the end of the interview. That's all. And then they shortlist your names and send to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. Then I believe Commonwealth will then pick out of those names, those that they want to really award the scholarship. And that's all. All right. Thank you for listening. I will go to Ijeoma now, who will talk about, right?
I think you should continue with Ikra, because she's also talking about farming.
FSB.
Yeah, so once she's done, because mine is like less than a minute, I'm done talking about
Okay.
farming.
Okay, that's okay then. Ikram, please, you have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Remy. Thank you, Ijoma. So I was also nominated by the Federal Scholarship Board. So as we said earlier, when you're applying, you have to select one nominating agency. And, for Nigeria, I think Remy has highlighted those that for this cycle, the nominating agencies have increased. So you have to do your research and select the best, or would I say the most appropriate one that fits, your kind of research, and, look at their own processes and see how you will be able to leverage, the opportunity so that you get nominated. Now, the Federal Scholarship Board, it's under the Ministry of Education. So they have their own, will I say, requirement. So when the scholarship is open, the Federal Scholarship Board will also, I think, set out a notice. They do that in the dailies, in the newspapers, and it goes around on social media. You get to see it. So they have their own requirement. I think for PhD, you have to have NYSC and certain things. So for somebody was asking, I think we'll answer that in the question, but it's something related to this, that must you have a master's before you can do a PhD. According to Federal Scholarship Board, you must have a master's before you can do a PhD if you want them to nominate you. So these are one of the things that you have to find out, your nominating agency, what are their conditions, and so that you don't go and set up yourself for failure by just selecting the wrong nominating agency. Yeah. So back to FSB. Somebody is supposed to get muted. Ijoma. Okay, thank you. So back to what I was saying. So you have to do your research to find out what are the requirements for your nominating agency. Now, Federal Scholarship Board will announce, or will I say publish when they're supposed to be having their interviews. But as Remy has said, like, you have to follow them bumper to bumper, like ask people, be checking that website every single day. It happens just, for you to take note, it happens sometime in the it happens in November usually. It's not really that far off after submission, like approximately a month. So they give you also the days that for each geopolitical zone should go. But on the first day, everybody is invited for the opening ceremony. Usually the Minister of Education will be there, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, and the Federal Scholarship Board people will be there also. So they will tell you what to do and all of those things. Have all your credentials. Make sure you photocopy everything, because they will, they'll require copies. And if you don't have those things with you, you will end up having to be running around like a headless chicken to photocopy, which could be quite stressful. So just make sure you have everything with you, and all of those things. Eat well before you leave the house so that you don't even, stress about I'm hungry and all of those things. Now, they will, I think, put you according to panels based on your field of study. So if you're in architecture, like I am an architect by profession, so for architects, we're lumped up with engineers, with engineering. Before there used to be a panel for built environment, and there used to be a panel for engineering. But in the 2023 cycle, which got us in, they actually lumped built environment with engineering. So just open your ears. For me, I actually believe the interview session was one of those it's one of those points where you have to really network, because there's certain things that you don't know, but if you just keep quiet and you stay on your own, you'll be lost. So please mingle with people, ask questions like, okay, I heard them saying this, what does it mean? If you don't understand anything, please ask, because if you just keep quiet, you'll be left behind. Now, for me, whenever I go for interviews, a strategy is to always make sure you're, if not the first in line for something, but top, so that you meet these people when they are at their best. They are they've just had breakfast, they will give you all their attention and all of those things. When you are in the evening, they're tired, they're stressed, they just want to be done with you. They'll probably not give you enough time to, talk about what you want to do and all of those things. It's a strategy. You could do those things so that, you give yourself the best standing chance. Now, as I said, they will send you to panels. There are different processes. This ones will check your credentials. Another set will actually send you to another office where you actually meet the main panel. Now, when you go up there, please give me a second. Apologies for that, please. Yeah, so as I was saying, you will go to the panel and they will ask you questions about, for me, because it was PhD, your proposal. So you have to really have, really revised your proposal. You wrote that document, so you have to know it top to bottom, in and out. You have to know what is your motivation for that research. What is the methodology you're going to be using for your research? What materials, what equipment, what instruments are you going to be using? Is it qualitative, quantitative? Like, everything about your research should be at the tip of your fingers so that you're not scrambling to look through a document. It just makes you look, kind of as if somebody wrote it for you, because they're going to be asking questions. So they'll give you the opportunity to, explain everything. Then they'll start asking you for the things that they said you should come with. So do you have your BSc certificate? You give it to them. Your MSc certificate, your transcript. That's also one thing, please. I think we should really emphasize on that. You need your transcript. If you don't have a transcript from your university, please get one. You can most likely not even, I don't think a school will give you admission without a transcript. I beg, I could be corrected, but from what I've seen, they want to see your transcript. It's even more important for most schools compared to your certificates, because most people don't end up collecting their certificates on time, but your transcript is very important. If you don't have one, please get it. There are schools that will tell you they don't give transcript to students, or is it like they can't give it to you directly? Please request for it to be sent to somebody or an office or somewhere and try and get a copy from those people. In-house strategy, and all of those things. I went to a school where they will tell you they don't give you directly. You have to apply for it to be sent to one registration body or the other, and then you can now get it. When they put in your file, you can request for them to give you a copy. Then you have your own copy. So that's for that. Now, as I said, they will ask you for all these things. They will ask you publications. Now, publications are more important, as I said, for PhD, but if you don't have them, still, nonetheless, it doesn't really take, it gives you one of those added points. And I believe they also grade you based on whether you have a first class, whether you have a second class upper, second class lower. Those things will count. On the panel, they actually told me when I entered that if you have a first class, it's 5 points. If you have a 2-1, I think 4 points, and that's the way it keeps going. So you have to know, whatever will give you extra points, just come along with it. Then gets your awards. You bring out all your certificates, you bring out all your plaques and whatnot, and then you present to them. And I think there was a question for my own panel. They asked me, what is that one extra thing that sets you apart? Like, they wanted to, I think they allocated points for just, somebody that will say something extra, and if you're able to put yourself out there and maybe tell them something apart from leadership, volunteering, that gets you those marks, good for you. So I think apart from that, that was all. Then they asked us to step out, and then, they'll collect your credentials. For my panel, they collected the credentials, I think, went through them again or whatever. I don't know what they were doing. And then somebody will call you back in, they'll collect your documents, and then they will tell you they're done with you, best of luck. Now, key things you should also take notes when you are in a panel. Don't sit before they ask you to sit, sit upright, speak clearly. This is you, like, you're not impersonating anybody. So all these basic general things for when you're going for an interview, please take note of them so that you present your best self forward and get confident. Don't be stammering. Don't be, as Remy said, rehearse if possible with your colleagues, people you're comfortable with. There'll be professors on your panel, so it could be intimidating, but just try and compose yourself so that you set yourself for success. Don't allow it to get to you. Final thing I'll also mention is please take note. I think when we went for the verification, I think they will do a verification of your credentials before they now know which panel to allocate you to. There was an issue where they kept saying you need to have uploaded, like they were supposed to upload our references and supporting letters, and then you get it, you get an email back to you that you have done that. But there was nothing like that in the portal, in the Commonwealth application process. So there were a lot of panels that, in people were like, you didn't do this, so you are not going to be interviewed. And we had to really speak up and say, no, this is not a process, kind of explain it to them, and all of those things. Some of them could be a bit, they don't know the process, and, the Nigerian factor where they try to just say, you can't tell us how it is and all of those things. So in as much as you're trying to stand your ground that this is the correct process, if you know if you know the right thing, but also be respectful, because the Federal Scholarship Board, they're a bit elderly staff. Most of them are, on that side. So if you're not careful, you could come off as rude or disrespectful. So just try and watch your tone. It could really be a tense process, because they actually walk out some people that are like, you don't have this, you don't have that, get out, go out, So just be calm. Don't allow such things to get to you. If it gets to that point, as I said, try and maintain a calm composure and just explain yourself and all of that. So for me, I think that's it, Remy. So Ijoma, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ikram. I'm just looking at our time. We're actually far beyond time. But one question I want to ask you, and just 30 seconds, use an answer, still on FSB. Somebody asked me that after you've submitted your application on Commonwealth platform, do you have to submit any document to FSB, or you just wait till they put out call for interview?
No, you don't submit anything to them. You just go along with, when you submit on the to Commonwealth, they will send you an email with what you submitted. So that document, print it out and go along with it for the interview.
Once the interview date is out, right?
Yes,
Let
that's
me
all.
with you.
Yeah, but you're not
Okay.
submitting anything prior to their office or whatever. It's just at the interview you get to meet them and you show them that, yes, because they will actually send you an application number, like this is your, I think immediately you even register on the portal, you get that number, so it will be within your submission, so they will get to see that, yes, you're somebody that has actually applied.
Okay, so also another question, when the interview dates came out and everything, did they list out what you're supposed to come to the interview ground with, or you just brought all the things you had mentioned during your application?
Remy, remind me if maybe I forgot it, but I don't think they do. Did they?
Yeah, no. No.
They didn't.
All you just see is, the region, whatever, they just split you into regions, come today, but you know that you need to go with this thing, that's all.
Okay, so
And
there was no short lists, just go.
Just go.
No, everybody that has asked FSB to nominate them, all of you picture.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and if you make this, sorry, Ijoma, one critical thing, if you miss your region's day, from experience, I didn't miss mine, so I don't know what happens if you do, but I've learned that they take it very seriously. So on the first day, as I said, it's open to everybody, like all the people that submitted from the whole of Nigeria. You're invited to the opening ceremony. You don't have to go for that. But the major thing is you do not miss, if you're from the north, maybe if you're from the southwest, for example, on the day southwest is supposed to be interviewed, people from the southwest region. If you miss that day, they won't allow you to go on another day to, let's say, like, so you have to be very careful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see a lot of questions in the chat box, and we'll try to answer each of them in 30 seconds. Remy and Ikram, you seem to be the ones that talk a lot.
But that's probably because, they're longer.
I totally understand. So I
Yeah.
don't have much to say about faraway nominating agency because mine was so simple. There was no interview, nothing like that. So the only thing I did was that after I had submitted my my application and I downloaded the form, I wrote to Faraway because you will see that they also provided emails to the nominating agencies. So I wrote to Faraway and I asked if there are criteria or guidelines for me to also apply through the for me to be nominated through their agency. So my email was something like, my name is Ijoma Okere Kiadaba. I'm this. I work with this. I've done this, and I had chosen them as my nominating agency. Is there any guideline that they will give me so that I can be selected for, that kind of thing? So they just responded with a PDF file, and that PDF had all the instructions for those who were applying through Faraway. Faraway is the Forum for African Women Educationalists. So after that, so once I submitted my form online, I downloaded it. So what they asked me was the application form, my references, and my CV, I think, my CV. So that's like our own interview. I just downloaded the form, all my references, my application form. I didn't even have an offer letter from my institution then, but it wasn't even part of what they wanted. So I just put everything, and then I wrote to them and I submitted, and that was it. There was nothing again until I got the email from CSE that I've been shortlisted for the Commonwealth Scholarship. There was no interview. So you see that FSB process is very, very, Faraway's process is really, really short. And that was the only line I chose. I remember was telling me that she had even applied through both means, and she actually got through both means, but one came before the other. So you can see how short the process was. So basically, it's just for you to know which nominating agency you feel like you stand the best chance at being selected. You can do FSB, you can do Faraway also if you're a lady. If you're somebody who have some disability issues, you can also use that nominating agency. You don't have to be a member of Faraway also for you to be able to use them as your nominating agency. I didn't know about Faraway. I only got to know about Faraway through CSE. It was after I had seen them as nominating agency. I now went on Instagram, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms. I started following them, started reaching out and, trying to see what they were doing and just be involving myself one way or the other. I didn't know them before that time. So you don't have to be a member of Faraway before you be nominated by them. Remy, we have questions now. How do you want us just
before we take it, I just wanted to clarify something. No, I didn't apply to both.
Okay.
I applied for Commonwealth Masters and Commonwealth Shared. I think you can only do one agency, I believe. Although I can see someone saying you can pick two agencies, but I mean, so far I don't know.
Except if you have two different applications, but not on one application.
So it's only one application.
Can Symbiat speak first before we start reading the question? Our hands have been on for up from the beginning.
Yeah.
So Symbiat, you have to just keep it short.
Yes, thank you all for the really insightful tips. So my question is just like very short and simple and straightforward. I'm just confused, so I just want clarity on that. So I know that for the masters, you have masters shared and you have the masters. And then I know that for the PhD, you have Commonwealth PhD and then you have Commonwealth Flight. And they say you should quite be specific. I'm applying for PhD. So should I just say Commonwealth PhD scholarship, or should I have to say Commonwealth PhD shared scholarship? Because I know the Commonwealth PhD scholarship is also shared among the universities. Do you get my question?
Yes, we do.
Ikram, are you here? You're the one that will answer.
Yes,
that.
I am. Okay, so it's just Commonwealth PhD scholarship. When it opens, they actually tell you whether they split sites, which is the one you're like the country, the scholarship. I think half of it you're going to be working with your two universities. Like, so if you're like a Nigerian, you could be in, let's say, University of Lagos and another university in the UK. Then there's the one for higher income countries, but I think this particular one for Nigerians is the lower to middle income countries. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes. So I'm interested in the Commonwealth just the PhD, not the Splight one. So I think I should just write Commonwealth PhD scholarship, no need
Commonwealth
for share.
PhD scholarship. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Ikram, does that mean that if you want to apply, if you're interested in both, you can apply for both?
Sorry, if you're interested in both what?
Are
The
they
split
different-
sites?
Yes, are there two different scholarships? The PhD
There are
one
two
and the-
different scholarships, two different applications. I think they even open at two different times.
Okay. So,
Yes.
so if
Just
anybody
to add
wants
to that, go to Commonwealth's website and you see the whole explanations and the openings are there actually. I think I shared the link there so that you understand it better.
absolutely.
Yes.
So Ijoma, do you want to read the questions?
Okay. The first one I'm seeing says, I already have an offer in a particular university from the UK. Is it a must I still talk about the 3 universities under my study plan? Considering the word limit, can't I stay with a particular university and course since I have an offer? Actually answered that person. What I said was that you had mentioned your 3 preferred institutions and the courses you want to study in them. So you have to talk about 3 of them. You don't have to focus on one. So I sent that person a message. Whether you have an admission from one or not, you have to talk about the 3 universities, the 3 courses at the 3 universities. So for the publications on the Commonwealth website, they specified at least 10 publications. And here I am seeing not compulsory. Please, can you explain more, Remy?
Yeah, like I said, it's not compulsory. For other questions, there's this asterisk sign, meaning that if you don't feel it, you can't go on. But for this question, if you don't feel it, you can move on. Which means if you don't want to feel it, it's okay. But if you do have, please do not to this.
Exactly. When I did mine, I had included a research I did last year. I even added some news report links I had written as my publication because of course they are publications. I put it my name that is there. So I was just listening all the stories I've done from how many years back. I put it as my story links. It's my publication. So I put where I even had interview with people and they mentioned my name. I put it there. It's publication. So anything just to make that place filled up, I added it there. Which is why having an online presence is really, really good. Some people they don't see it as anything, but it's very important. There are some things that you feel like you know or have information about. Put it on, create maybe a Medium account for yourself, a LinkedIn account, but to document it there. You can always use that link to put as doing your application because you have a knowledge you're trying to communicate through those links. The next question said, will the recording and slides be made available for the sake of those who joined? Yes, joined late. Yes, it will be available. Please, can you explain about the nomination, that Ofawe nomination? Oh, I think I already talked about it, right? Yes. Just reach out to the email that you see on your application form, ask them what they would require because it must have changed, and then submit it to them. Fawe is a very big African organization. It's just the Nigerian chapter that it's selecting for those in Nigeria. After they pick us from Nigeria, they will still send it to their headquarters. Their headquarters will do their own level of screening again before they send it to CSC, and then CSC will still do their own screening again, and then they get the final list. But there's no physical interview like FSB. Thank you, Remy. I'm particularly happy about how you mentioned using numbers to represent the impact one has made. So, Remy, that's a thumbs up for you. Please, will the recording and slides be made available to us? Yes, it will be. Is the Commonwealth scholarship applicable to Zimbabwe? We can find our country.
Zimbabwe is a Commonwealth scholarship country. If it's part of the Commonwealth, it's
Yes.
you can apply.
Okay.
But just go through the website and check the drop down.
Yes, yes. I think there's a place where it will show you your country, and then when you put your country, you see all the Commonwealth scholarships that are available in your country. Please, what is the difference between shared scholarship and I think we've answered that already. The difference between Commonwealth shared.
No, we haven't.
Okay, please.
Around tomorrow. They don't open on Sunday. Even on Saturday, they don't used to open for long. I pray that they are.
Hello, can
Maybe
you
you can mute that person actually. Let me see, because I don't want to go out of this question. You
I
can see
have.
okay, great. Can someone
I think
jump?
the question. Sorry, the person was asking, what's the difference between a Commonwealth Masters and a Commonwealth Shared Masters?
Okay, Remy.
Right, so Commonwealth Masters is, scholarship for master's applicants. Commonwealth Shared is also for master applicants. It's just that internally, the arrangement as to how they are able to fund you differs. But so if you want to spread your options. Apply for both masters now. And when shared opens in, I think, November or December, apply. You can apply for both and get both. Because I actually did.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible. It just
Yeah.
spreads your options and you know, just in case you don't get one, you get the other one.
Yeah, I think one is through nominating agencies and one the school nominates, right? The school
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for the schools, most times you have to do, some schools will ask you to do an online, like you apply to them. Also, like when you finish the Commonwealth application, you also have to go on the school website. They have their own essays or questions you might have to answer.
Okay. All right. Then can someone jump to do PhD without master degree if you're having 2 postgraduate degrees and satisfactory work experience? Ikram.
Okay, I think I will speak more in line with FSP. If you apply through FSP, it might not fly. Because as far as they're concerned, one of the requirements they outline in their publication, like inviting you to submit to apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship, is that you must have a master's to do a PhD. They ask you for a BSc for master's. So automatically, if you don't have that, then maybe the FSB cannot be your nominating agency. So, but you could explore, as we said, Fairway and the others. Maybe that will not be one of their own requirements. You also have to have done NYSC for FSB to nominate you. So that's also something. So make sure to watch out for what are those requirements your nominating agency is really peculiar about. So most countries that will allow you to do a PhD without a master's are countries that do coursework embedded in their PhD. That's in North America, US, Canada. In the UK, the PhD is mostly just research-based, like you hardly do any coursework and all of those things. So they expect that you have done an MA, an MSc, an MA, all of those kind of MScs. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. Okay. Remy, do you have anything to add, or that's fine?
No, that's okay.
Okay. My question is about nominating agency. One, for instance, if I go through Fairway, does Fairway have any authority over my scholarship after awarded? In a case where I don't join their membership? No, they don't. They don't have any authority. For instance, if I go through LGBTQ, would they remove my scholarship after it has been awarded if I don't join them? Or is it a must to be a member of the, it's not a must to be a member of the nominating agency, actually. It's not a must. So somebody already answered that self. So okay. No, you don't have to join them. You don't have to be a member. It's just your own choice. How many applications can we make? Can I apply to 4 schools through one nominating agency? Remy, can I apply to 4 schools through one? I don't think that's possible. No, you can't.
So the thing is, when you're filling your Ikram, do you want to take that?
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say probably, we said you have to have admissions. Maybe that's what the person is talking about. So for PhD, they'll tell you a minimum of 2 admissions. So you must have gotten admissions to 2 schools, right? For MSc, Remy, how many schools do you have to apply to?
You don't, 3. And you don't need to have an admission, right?
No, but I think the question, I hope the person can give some
Yeah,
sort of...
somebody actually answered me that no, but you can make 4 applications via 4 nominating agencies.
Yes.
I think that answers it, right?
Yes, I can apply through Fairway, through FSB. Nothing stops you.
Yeah,
just know that within the same application, that you have different application numbers for all these applications.
Yeah, can I apply to 4 schools through one? No. I don't think that even the form will not even allow you to do that. So apply to 4 schools through one agency.
So maybe in case the question is for your universities, your schools, you don't need to use an agency. Apply directly to your school.
Okay.
Applying for this scholarship doesn't mean you automatically have applied to a school.
Yeah.
If that's your question, apply to, even if you want to apply to 100 schools, apply directly to the school, then apply to the Commonwealth and tell them these schools are the schools I've chosen.
And as long as they're also part of the schools that are under the list of institutions for Commonwealth.
Absolutely.
Then it says, I'm really interested in hearing how you navigated that question on being Minister of Energy. I think you have to reach out to Remy one-on-one to answer that question. So
or I can, in less than a minute, just say,
okay.
Basically the question they were trying to understand if leaving Nigeria was my jackpot plan. I mean, you have to prove to them that you're not trying to jackpot out, or stuff. I just told them that if someone who knows that I don't have a master's degree, in this course, deem me fit to be the Minister of Energy, it means that they see something in me, right? And then I can learn on the job. Then I will take up the offer as Minister of Energy, and then there will be other times to go for my master's degree. Finish.
Yeah. Okay. Is 2-2 accepted for CSC? Is 2-2 accepted for CSC? Remy?
I wouldn't know, but I'm not sure there's any.
I can answer that question. On the Commonwealth, on the FSB notice that they send out, if you have 2-2, you must have a master's for PhD. Like if you don't have a 2-1, they say second class upper. If you're a 2-2, then you should have a master's. But I don't think for the MSc, I can't remember if you have to have a 2-1.
I
saw
don't
something
think
similar,
so.
but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if you're not sure, maybe just go to the website. All these details are there.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not sure. I'm sure there is.
Please, what does evidence of submission of at least 2 referees reports mean? They normally say you should bring during the interview. What does? Okay, Ikram.
And that was the issue I was talking about. They kept asking us for referee reports that is as if it's your referee that is supposed to actually submit your referral letter. But it's actually not like that. You submit just the way I'm uploading my offer letters, because at the end, the Commonwealth on the portal, they will ask you offer letters, you submit, and everything you have to, will I say, PDF them. So if you have 2 admissions, please merge your offer letters into one document, your transcript, one document, your certificates, one document, your reference letters, the same thing. But when we got to the interview, they were asking us for referee reports. So honestly, I was lucky. The person that was attending to me, I explained to them that, oh, that's not how it is on the portal. And they were like, okay, go to the panel and go and get interviewed. But I know on a queue where people were being accredited, they actually kept insisting that they have to show them that referee report. If not, they should just leave. So I think I mentioned it. I think it goes back to current scholars have to reach out to the Federal Scholarship Board and probably try and enlighten or just get into one kind of, I don't even know, like make them aware that it's actually not like that on the portal, so that it doesn't keep coming up. I also kept asking people at that point, because they will mention it in the list of things that you should come with that referee report, but there's nothing like a referee report.
Okay.
So,
Do you think that means reference letters?
Probably.
Because
I just told them there's nothing like referee reports. I have my reference letters that were written for me. So I presented them and the person accepted that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a bit concerned about the time. I don't know if it's going to cut us off, for instance, too, because I set the meeting for 12 to 2, thinking that we're going to be done, but I'll just be reading. I hope it doesn't cut us
If
off.
you can sift through the questions that have not been touched at all in any way.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there a WhatsApp group where information is shared?
We didn't create one, but you can, but
you can check NairaLand. I know on NairaLand they have different links where people can join different scholarship groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have an e-copy of the document and not a physical one, is a printout acceptable? Yes. Oh, Abubakar Adam, I don't know who that is, but I don't know if he's a scholar as well, but I seem to be answering some of the questions that some
Thank you.
So Abubakar Adam also said that publications are not mandatory, but it's an added advantage for you. So very important. During the interview call, they normally say if you don't have evidence of admission in any university you choose, and other requested material that you should not come for the interview. What can you say about it? If you don't have the admission and other materials they request, you should not come for the interview. Is it true?
No, it's not true. I met a lot of people there that did not even have one admission letter or offer letter. Even if you don't have an admission yet, you can go for the interview.
Okay. Is it a must for you to have a publication for masters? No. It's not a must, but if you have any link that shows what you've done or what you're doing, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, put it there. It mustn't be a news report. Could you share, Ikram, could you share it was easy to get feedback from a UK supervisor? Oh yes, that's another conversation on its own, but I don't know if I will be caught out. I'm so confused.
Maybe
Let me check my settings while Ikram responds. But I hope if he calls us out, please guys understand that it's beyond my control, but I'm checking it actually.
But in case it cuts it out, you can maybe reach out to either of us on LinkedIn or
Yes.
so. You can take it from there, just in case.
Yeah, about the supervisor thing, quickly to say that honestly, it's not a one-day thing. It's not even a one academic cycle thing. For most people, before you get a supervisor, especially in the UK, they will want to see your proposal. So if you want to do a PhD and you don't know what you want to do, now is the time to get to the drawing board, start researching what do you want to do, start reaching out to them. LinkedIn is your first door. The second door is the school websites. If you're interested in a school, go to their website and look at the lecturers they have or professors they have. Look at their research interest and shoot your shot. Do cold emails, and that's how it works. Yeah. Ijoma.
Okay. Will the nomination agency email you to inform you that you have been nominated, or just send details to Commonwealth? No. That is
You
it.
don't hear anything back till in June.
You don't wait. Exactly. You don't have anything. Must it be a UK university? Must it be a university within the UK? Of course, it's the UK that's giving the scholarship, so it has to be a university in the UK. Is a requirement for the FFZ interview to have an admission? No, right? No, Remy, you already answered that actually. Okay.
For my panel, though, they insisted that you have to have admission. So it could probably be if you're lucky, but just try and get. If you don't get, then you try your luck.
I want to apply through FSD, but I'm still doing NYSC, but I will finish my NYSC before the start of September. Before the start date, September in the UK. Can I still use FSB? Yeah. If you're going to be done with NYSC before the school starts, you can still apply. Why not? For masters, right? Please, I'm applying to 3 schools with different courses. Okay, Remy, are you also looking at the question? In case you can answer some.
I'm answering. I'm typing already, trying to answer.
Typing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was I write essays on all the chosen courses for the 3 universities in the study outline and detailed plan of study? I think it's in detailed plan of study that you need to also talk about why you've chosen the courses in the 3 universities. For your study outline, you don't even have to mention any university. You're basically just talking about your interest or your passion on why you want to go and study in the UK. Must I write essays on all the chosen courses for the 3 universities in? Oh, same question. Okay. I don't have my BSc certificate yet, but I have my transcript. Can I still apply? Yes, you can. Your transcript is enough to show that you went to school. Okay.
That's it.
Wow. Oh wow. That was like a marathon. Dominica
has been raising herself, her hand. Maybe you could answer her question. Dominica.
You want to speak?
All right, thank you. My question is regarding the publication part. If you don't have, that's for the masters, if you don't have social media posts, you don't have an official publication either, we are currently working on a research, you've not finished. So would you advise putting the title of that research in that section, or just leave the section blank? That's my question.
I'd advise putting it there, because it's always better to err on the side of surplusage. What do you stand to lose if you don't put it there? But you could get something if you do. So just put as many things as can apply to publication. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
They're asking for our LinkedIn.
Yeah. My name, I'll just put my name. Then we can also type your name. I can't drop the link now, but it's my name. My name is the same all over Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, except yeah, I'm almost done. Except Twitter. So I think we've answered all the questions, and I'm happy we were not cut off also. Remy, I don't want to moderate it again. You're the one that started the moderation. Please continue.
Oh, well, I mean, I believe that we have covered, I mean, it's a lot of things to unpack into ours, honestly. I think you tried. Thank you, Ijoma. Thank you, Crown. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. Please, we are, and I believe I speak for Ijoma and Ikram too. If you need more information, go through the website. Ijoma has given you the links. Check the charts. Please go there and read for yourself. But if, there's a chance you still do not understand and you need clarification, you can reach out to myself reach out to Ijoma, reach out to Ikram. I'm sure we'll be more than happy to, help out.
Yeah.
It looks like we still have, this is 3 minutes past and we are still here. So Ijoma, Ikram, do you have last words?
My
Okay, Ijoma, go first. Go first.
First of all, the recording will be, Ikram will put it on her handle. Remy will also do the same on her own handle. I'm going to also do that on my handle for people to go and rewatch it and listen again afresh. I just want to say that I wish everybody the best. If you ask Remy, if you ask Ikram, they'll tell you that this was not the first time they had applied and they got it. It's after many years of rejection, emails and letters that we got, but we never failed or stopped trying. So whenever you're doing this application, always have that optimistic mindset that this one will work. Don't do it like I'm doing it for the sake of trying. Be positive, it will work. So, and I wish everybody the best. I can't wait to also see your own. Happy to announce that in post on social media. So all the best, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, yes. Thank you, Ijoma, Remy, to all the people that attended. It's really great to actually be able to share because a lot of people want to apply, but they don't really know how to. But I'll honestly say that this information is out there. It's on the website, the CSC website, and all of those things. Try and also link up with people that have applied. For me, if I remember correctly, one of the first things I did was when I wanted to apply for Commonwealth, I went to LinkedIn. I got about, I think, 5 Commonwealth scholars that were already in and kept sending them messages. And, I got people that responded. One even organized a tutorial. She actually helped us review our essays. That's also something. Please get people to review your essays. As they review your essays also, do not give too many people because too many people will have so many conflicting approaches and all of those things. So try and get 1, 2 reliable reviewers to look at your essays, go over them, sleep over them. It's not something you do in one day, please. This application is not something you will write and submit in 9 minutes. So you still have time. There's still that window. 2 weeks is a lot of time to actually write your essays, get them reviewed, and really fine tune. So best of luck. We wish you all the best. And as Ijoma said, we can't wait to see I've been awarded the Commonwealth Scholarship. Yeah. Thank you.
I will just align myself with Ikram and Ijoma. I wish you all the very best. I can't wait to hear your testimonies. Just remember, be confident at your interviews for those of you that will be doing for the interview.